this video, we're gonna talk about something you might never actually use. And we're gonna talk about power pumping. Why might you never use this? Well, it's because power pumping is a tool that not everyone needs. And before we go into anything about it, I want you to know that if you ever have questions about power pumping, which is related to your milk supply, reach out to an IBCLC, which is an International Board Certified Lactation Consultant. So when we're talking about power pumping, there are a few big things to think about. First, what is power pumping and how do you decide if it's something that you want to try? We're also going to talk about how to do it because that's the most important part of it. And lastly, some tips and tricks to help you along the way. What is power pumping? It's pretty much trying to copy a baby again, just like any sort of pumping session. But this time around, you're mimicking a baby that is cluster feeding, so nursing multiple times in a short period of time. A power pumping session is typically over an hour, but you're not pumping for the entire hour. You're pumping at different intervals and taking breaks. So again, it's mimicking a baby that's coming back to the chest frequently to bulk up. So with this, it has to do with your supply. Your supply is based on demand. So that relationship of the more milk you demand, the more milk your body will make is why power pumping is used by some people. Now, I say some people because not everyone needs to power pump. You may choose to power pump if you feel like there is something missing in your milk supply. For example, some families with multiples feel that they need to increase their milk supply at the beginning of their lactation journey. Or sometimes when there's a return to work or a big change in your schedule, sometimes that can shift your supply, and so you feel like you might need to help bump it up a little bit. But again, power pumping is not meant to be done over a long period of time. The basics of power pumping are pumping a few sessions over an hour with breaks between. A setup for this is if you start pumping for 20 minutes, and then you turn your pump off for 10 minutes, and then repeat 10 minutes of pumping and 10 minutes off until you get to that hour time frame is one basic setup. You can change those time frames based on your body, how it reacts, and what you need. You also may change it after speaking with a lactation professional, but the general idea is that you're pumping for a time, taking a break, and then going back to it. Now, when you take those breaks, you don't have to stay where you are, but most people sort of set up and get ready for that hour so they can really focus on the point, which is building up some milk supply. When power pumping, there are a few tips that make it a little bit easier. If you do plan to set out for that whole hour and stay in one place, get cozy and comfortable, I recommend setting up your station. And that includes having water close by and also a preferred snack, and more than one is okay. But make sure you have everything you need for your pump and anything in the general area. During the breaks, if you have to get up, you can. You're allowed to take the pump off of you during those breaks as well. But if you have some sort of entertainment, whether it's a book, your phone, or a movie, that's also really helpful to have you focus on what you're doing, but not stress about the amount of milk that you're getting during this time. Like with any pumping session, you really want to make sure that your flange fit is appropriate for your body. If you're going to be pumping for 30, 40 minutes over an hour, you want to make sure that you're doing so in the best way possible and you're not causing any pain or discomfort or damage to your body. So before any power pumping, if it is recommended by a lactation professional, or if you decide it is what's best for your journey, make sure your flange is the appropriate size for your body. If you do plan to set up for the entire hour for your pumping session and you're not using a hands-free pumping kit and you have a standard one such as this, you probably don't want to hold it to your body the entire hour or during those actual active pumping parts. So you can use a hands-free pumping bra to make it easier for you. But if you are doing that, make sure every time you start your next section of pumping that you are still lined up correctly and everything's going to be comfortable. You don't want to move around too much and have it come unaligned and then cause any damage or discomfort to your body. The other thing to think about is the benefit of hands-on pumping or gentle breast massage to help encourage either your letdown or the general milk flow while you are pumping. So this is a very soft touch around the outside of the breast shield or flange You want to try not to push in too much towards the edge of where that flange meets your body, because then you can release the suction and that could be uncomfortable. But just gentle touch, and you want to make sure you're not keeping your hand in one place. So you're not only staying in one position, you're moving all around so that you're not just keeping one spot kind of blocked during the pumping session. So that gentle movement has a nice touch from skin to skin, an extra release of oxytocin, and it can just make you feel a little bit more comfortable as well as help that milk flow. How often to power pump is a really hard answer to give to somebody because it depends on your circumstances and what's going on for you and your baby or babies. For example, some people with multiples are working really hard to increase their supply to feed 2 or more babies. You may pump once a day for a power pumping session, and that's not forever. That power pumping for once a day is typically for a week or so, and then reevaluate to see where you are. That reevaluation could be with your lactation provider, or it could also be with checking in on your body. Whether it's how many times a day you're pumping or power pumping specifically, you have to remember it takes time to shift. So your milk supply isn't going to change the next day. So you do that over time to see some change. So again, low milk supply, that is significant that you're trying to increase once a day, but not forever. If you're just trying to boost your supply a little bit and you want a power pump to see how it goes, then maybe at most once a week. For more pumping support, you can always reach out to us at aceleron.com anytime.